So we got a little bit of Jose coming up here in the next couple of days, this week sometime. A little bit of rain, I guess. What they're saying?
Not much, though.
Not much.
I thought it was going to be today.
What'd you say?
I thought it was going to be today. I'm scheduled
Doesn't it be
outside
today?
tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I don't see any rain coming up. I mean, today was kind of not great, but
Oh, good. This is one station, that's all they can talk about. And some other stations don't carry a word on it, you know?
It's only fun if you're scared. If you got to run down to the Walmart. and
Oh,
get
I
some
used to,
water
oh,
or
I used to love hurricanes. We'd go
water, milk, and bread,
out,
right?
we would go to the ocean and watch the waves. Now they don't even want you to, they don't want you to sit on your outside deck or your porch or whatever, your closed-in porch.
It's the best because you could stack
This
up all
guy's
the beer,
everybody
and if it's not enough room, you
paranoid,
can
you
put it
know?
outside.
Is there right a place that we had a lot of snow, Korea with snow?
Yeah, I'm sure you had a fair amount of hurricanes.
I remember going along the ocean, because I was in Boston, and when it'd be a hurricane, and we were just young people, and then looking for boats.
Right?
So the boats come off the moorings, according to maritime law, you can claim it.
Right?
So one hurricane, we get there, and about a 30-foot boat was washed up near the shore, and some guys just jumped on it before we got there. You know.
Oh, jeez.
They claimed the boat.
Unbelievable. That's funny.
Gave you something to do, you know.
Yeah.
We'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll start. So Ava won't be here, and we're just waiting for those other two.
I mean, I didn't hear confirmation from Jay that he was definitely coming or not, but Paul a while ago said he was definitely coming.
Yeah, he was trying to get a ride for me, but I had to meet some people before the meeting, so, and that was at 5 o'clock, and then I actually got done earlier than I thought it was going to get done. I figured it'd take me about an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes, but if I was home, I could pick them up, but you know, I can't do it all the time for them. I just can't. What's not supposed to do that? I thought I had it on vibrate. Guess I didn't.
did this last year. Radio improvements to the police and fire. It wasn't clear who was covering what in their request. So last year they both had the request, and we decided to put it in, I think, fire, because they were gonna lead the grant request. So, but these numbers are different. We gotta remember. We'll probably have them present on the same day, so we can talk about them. But
I think that people need to go back through and double check their stuff.
Yeah.
Because some stuff isn't very accurate to me.
okay.
But I'm just an accounting student.
Maybe what we can do is get in touch with. I'm trying to think if I think Ken actually did his this year. Last year he didn't do it. Al did the police, and then everyone else, their department heads, did theirs. But
Wes clarified everything with me about his being 5,000. So I just use it.
Seth sent his, right?
Yeah, I got Seth's. Oh, you know what? Seth's sent me two, brother.
It's fine. It's fine for now. Cause he said, cause they have the
Because they also had a budget. Funded accounts.
Okay, you can check it. And Wes didn't send a separate sewer one.
I don't
right?
have anything for sewer.
Okay.
I didn't see any codes in there for sewer at all either.
Alright, so we gotta ask him, he must have forgotten about that. That's fine, he can right now, at the end of the week. This is just to give them a sense of the format for now.
But it's all of the new sheets. Well, I got everything all done today, so.
Right. We just didn't put how they plan on financing it, apparently.
And then some of them, like, I'll call everybody out, little beauty,
Yeah.
put funded stuff in the wrong column. Not for all of them, but some of them.
They put no method, so I don't know how they think they're gonna pay for it.
Go to the next page.
Oh, that's the estimate source, though.
Oh, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the Chris that did it. Maybe it was fire.
Oh, here. Yeah, it was fire. Yeah, Ken didn't give any
I was
sources
like,
either.
talk about taxpayer dollars.
He should have had Kirk do it again.
Huh?
He should have had Kirk do it again.
I didn't want to be that guy sitting out things like that stuff for.
I'll have to be that guy tomorrow, it's fine. We'll go through and point out all the issues.
Why don't we just get the show on the road, that way there we can, there'll be a lot of questions tonight. Call the meeting to order. And I guess you could take a roll call. And,
Ava Doyle,
He's not here.
Edwin
Bonus.
Bones,
Here. Oh.
Jay Tivnan,
Not here.
Mike Foote,
Here.
Paul Lambert,
Not here.
Robert Hamill,
Here.
Bill Contardo,
yeah,
and we have Dean Trefethan, the planning director, and Brandy Laughlin, the assistant planner.
okay. And I guess you're the recording secretary?
And I am the
Robert.
recording secretary.
Okay. Just, okay. As you can see, we have new, maybe we should get the selection of the chair and the vice chair out of the way. We usually do that first. So do we have any nominations for the chair and the vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Bill Contardo as chair of the 2017-18, if that's where we're at, 18-19 CIP process.
I'll second that.
You say it, and all in favor?
Aye.
And we need a vice chair, and I would like to nominate Mike.
I'll nominate Mike.
Thank you. And anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, and all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Aye.
So that all being behind us now, let's get into overview. The overview is that since last year, the planning department, and I don't know who pioneered this, but Brandy brought it to my attention, that maybe we should do a revamping on the scoring sheets or the way the information is presented. So what you have now is a packet here, or a layout of all the different departments and their request. And then there, it goes into if they got quotes, sources of funds, the way they quoted it, if they did quote it, that kind of thing. So this is what it looks like for each particular department, and their funding for every particular year. What was your thoughts on where we should put the rankings or the scores in relationship to each one?
So, this is like those individual sheets you used to get.
Yep.
You're gonna get a score sheet that looks similar to this, but it's gonna be broken out by year, because that's how you score them, is by year. These right now are broken out by department. So this is for you guys to look through while the departments do their presentations, and familiarize yourself with the requests right now. And we'll have we'll have those scoring sheets ready for you
So
well
those-
before the next meeting.
That will look like this here?
It'll look, no, because that's what the final
Right.
tally and ranking is. It'll look, right, Rob's been working on this, he's an Excel whiz.
Each of these is broken down with an ID number that you can't see on this spreadsheet, so that way it's linked to a database, so you can sort everything. So as we go through at the end, we can sort everything, and it breaks it down by fiscal year, and then your scoring sheet is right next to it by department, so you can break everything down and score, and then the score automatically generates, calculates your score out for everybody.
Okay, when will we have a copy of that so we can look at it?
I have everything built right now. It's in a Excel sheet.
Right.
I'm just waiting for some corrections on these, and I was going to email it out today, but due to some last-minute corrections,
Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll get something.
we have some departments that we need to just check in, because some of the stuff looks a little wonky, so we just need to check in with them,
Okay.
make sure it's all set, and then we'll have the scoring stuff
So
ready
you-
for you guys to look at.
So feasibly, you'll have the final Excel sheet where you'll have absolutely everything, and it'll do everything for you.
And that will be on this sheet? No, it'll be a separate sheet.
It'll be separate, yes.
Okay, all right.
Can
And-
I just suggest one thing? I don't see it, but, I mean, obvious like this, I mean, there's no title up here of which department it is.
It's
But I
just
mean,
down
we
at the
can
bottom.
Huh?
It's just down at the bottom of.
Gotcha. Okay, I couldn't find
Little,
it.
but it's
Yeah,
there.
it was due to
Good.
formatting issues. We were.
No, no problem, that's fine. I was looking at the top, I didn't even notice that down there. We're good?
Okay, and I think the question a little earlier, before we even had the meeting, was like on the, what department, was it DPW, I guess it was?
Oh,
And they
yeah.
had like 10, 20, well, actually, that's in thousands, so we know that it's not $20, it's $20,000.
Yes.
So,
By the next meeting, I'll have that corrected, so it'll actually show accurate on the Excel sheet, so you won't have to think about doing the math.
that's okay, as long as we know we get in front of us and when we're looking at this, 'cause everybody looks at it very closely. The scoring criteria is the same as it's been, except for the funding sources, there's been a couple of added to it, I think, if I remember correctly. And, but for those that haven't scored before, you have each item has a possibility of getting 25 points. And the criteria is 10 points in the infrastructure improvements, 10 for public need, and 5 for liability purposes. So that they won't exceed 25 points on your rank on each item, but every item has to be ranked. So you just can't have non-applicable. You might put 0 in, or you might put 1 if you feel as though that's what it deserves. But you should have a scoring criteria sheet, and it's basically the same for those that have been here before, have worked before. So it's the same type of sheet, basically the same information, and you all know how to use that. This also was last year's CIP scores, the overall ranking. I did that because I know Mr. Hamel would be here and ask that question. It's usually a standard question, so we headed off the question with the answer. So it's last year's CIP scores, and that's what and the next sheet is the expenditure plan by the city. So if you want to look at those, that's all for your consideration. But remember, when you score, we're not really looking at the dollar amount as much as we're looking at the need. We don't really say to ourselves, the dollar amount is really a primary consideration. We sort of like block that out of our mind, but it's hard to do, I understand. But we try not to consider that just by what the department presents and what their need is. And then we analyze it based on each individual request. Anything you want to add to this, Mike?
Not right off.
Okay. Right. You also have the schedule for the next meeting, and the next meeting would be October 11th, and that would be on a Wednesday as opposed to a Tuesday, and that would be the department's presentations. I don't know which ones we have scheduled in, but I guess you'll update this.
I've only had 2 departments respond to me, and I wanted to check with you because I couldn't remember last year which ones you guys requested be separate because they're the really big presentations.
Right.
I want to say it's like Parks and DPW.
Anybody got any input on
I can go back and check the minutes if that's the case, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to check with you guys.
Any particular parts that we want to keep apart from each other because they'll be.
I knew that
Oh,
Public
is another
Works,
one?
and there was another one that was quite weighty, and it could have been,
I think it's Parks and DPW usually, because water is usually pretty quick. Fire, police and fire usually go together.
yep,
So we'll probably, I'm thinking I'll probably see if I can do parks with fire and police, have fire and police go in that order, fire, police, parks. And then water and DPW on the second night, on the 17th.
The school's not asking for it.
Nothing, they haven't, no one's gotten back to me, no.
It's all right.
it's been some time since the school department's come through here, right?
It's, well, let me think. Probably since we did the Hewitt Center, I think. I don't know how long ago
No,
that's
since
been
we
now.
questioned their roof about 10 years ago, remember that one? And how'd you get those numbers? And someone told us how they got the numbers, and I don't think they felt too comfortable with that. But that's okay. So are they gonna come in? They're not gonna be back.
We've only had the usual 5
Yeah,
usual
yeah.
suspects.
Well, what they have is
Should be adequate, huh?
should be pretty good, really.
Yeah, the Hewitt, I think,
Gone
was
through
pretty
all the
new.
schools, basically.
Yeah, the Hewitt, I think, was pretty new when I started 4 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably 4 or 5,
Yeah.
probably 4.
Yeah. The police is usually pretty,
They're pretty
they're
standard.
pretty trite. They
Yeah.
get, they just basically on the bare bones or something, as a rule. Fire, I haven't looked at the fire that closely, but,
Well, police and fire are asking quite a bit, really.
again with them? Okay.
And I'm gonna ask, last year when we talked about these radio upgrades and everything like that, was that just building funding for it, or was any of that accomplished?
We did
or
set
done?
aside some money for it, building
Right.
towards it. The fire department did get new radios. They didn't get the Cadillac ones like they wanted, but they got new radios, portables. And then that other project that they wanted for the repeaters,
Yep,
I believe we put 100,000 aside. So we'll probably build towards that one.
Yeah,
Guessing.
that's the one that would have tagged out to be $500,000 when they were done? Is that the one?
Yeah, and they've
Yeah.
requested more again,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's in the operating budget, I believe. I know we set aside some money for it. Oh, it's under a separate account somewhere. Oh, yeah, there it is. Under police, $100,000.
What would that have got them,
They want 400, so we got it.
I know, but what would that, the 100,000 got them?
Well, it's nothing. I mean, it's gonna, probably next year we'll do another 100 till we get the 4.
In other words, they could have started, they could have got some components for 100,000 and then,
I don't know.
okay. all right.
I probably wouldn't think so.
Well, they'll probably be back and
I don't think they wanna
asking for
piecemeal
the
it.
next 100 or something, so we'll see what, is it on their list here?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Oh, yeah, this is,
If you,
this one here.
yeah, but if you look on the capital page, page 13, it says right here what we did. Manager funded 100.
On this process.
All right.
Oh, is this your first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're gonna come and present and request funds. Okay.
you can quiz them on,
And we can ask all the questions we need as to why they need these items.
Yep, and this is for the next 6 fiscal years.
Okay.
This is supposed to be long-range planning
Okay.
in accordance, in harmony
Okay.
with the master plan and other things.
All right.
so I got a master plan question, because I've been seeing this come along for a little bit here. And this third fire station in North Laconia. And I see this as they circle around the top of Hilliard or something, generally, as response times, or somewhere in North Laconia there. Is a master plan taking into account opening Hilliard Road as improved access to and from the Weirs?
We have discussed that, yes.
Really? Because I know from last, Public Works, we're talking about, upgrading the, culverts coming out of Hilliard Road and that whole drainage down through there. And I had asked if that was going to be of the size where we could look at.
Right.
I wouldn't undersize it, certainly.
Right.
I think they're doing some work down there regardless of the master plan. The master plan
The Weirs and
of the Hilliard Road.
they're gonna take this a section of it, they're gonna remove the pavement
And what about that little culvert?
because it's in such poor condition and just leave it as gravel. But that's just a temporary solution for that section of the road.
What end is that?
Nearer the Weirs.
I think it's beyond isn't it beyond the dump?
Like,
Yeah,
dump?
yeah, it's in
Oh,
that
okay.
area there,
but
right.
then still be,
They
then
just,
still right in there is that upgrade for the,
Right, and in
culverts
the
and
master
everything.
plan, yeah, and in the master plan, we've talked about, upgrading Hilliard Road all the way so that it's not only is it a good connector, but also it opens up the land up in that area for future development.
Right.
right. Those are types of things, so, like, especially when I keep hearing this third fire station, I haven't seen a circle quite drawn around precisely where it is, but vaguely it seems to be up there for
Yeah,
response
we have
times.
not discussed the fire station yet, but
But
that's a good.
as far as
point.
the sequence of events, Mike, would be first the master plan.
Yeah,
And those items there, if they can augment what's going on up there, then that would be part of that. But down the road, the idea is to give some legal entity to the master plan by funding it and then tying in both this here with the funding. So in other words, if something comes through, and we don't know how it's going to shape, I don't know the shape, I'm
Right,
giving you
right,
some
right.
broad understanding, that if something comes through that is requested, but it's got to do with the master plan, then maybe we got to modify our ranking numbers the way we rank them and give them some kind of a higher rating, maybe, I think, if it's.
yeah.
if
But
it's gonna be
that's
some-
just things to think of, I think about those things.
So it can, yes, and
You
so
know,
it
if
can
we're
be
gonna look
supported.
at out to 23 and 24, then it's
So it all can
something
be
we ought
supported,
to
so
think
then
about.
there's tracking it all through, what the city council approves and what they're gonna do and what we're seeing, and so everybody's in harmony at some level. So, yeah. But that's in the works, and we're not sure that, right now, we're looking at the land use chapter.
Yeah.
And it might be a couple months before we get that completed, but everybody's working diligently on that one, that's for sure. I think so, Dean, right? I said everybody, Dean. I said everybody, Dean. Dean's working.
Diligent Dean.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else we want to discuss right now? Okay. Edwin, are you feel comfortable with the scoring and all that, or how we're going to score?
I'm sure I'll work it out.
I think you would.
You haven't done this before, Ed? I don't recognize you from being here.
No, I haven't been here. So, what I understand is we're gonna pick it, if I got this right, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna take this package, I'm gonna review it and I'm gonna use this as a scoring device to come up with a number.
Once we're done.
Once we're done, you
We
should
as a
listen.
group are gonna do.
No.
No.
You do it individually.
Okay, okay.
But we're gonna listen to everybody
After we hear
before
what
we
they
score
present,
it.
okay.
There's nothing to stop you from doing it ahead of time and then reevaluating what you hear afterwards, however you want to work that exercise.
This sheet
is
here
fine.
shows
Yeah.
everything that was asked for last year.
Last year, yeah,
Correct.
yes,
Yeah, correct, yes.
And it shows how we scored it.
okay,
But those numbers are cumulative, so your numbers, let's say you rank something
yeah.
22, 18, 15, and those numbers are put together, and then that gives it the
Okay.
sequence on the overall list.
So we're gonna get, so we have these meetings with the police department, they present, this is why we need X, Y, Z.
Yep.
And we're gonna score it and move on through. That makes sense to me, that part I got.
Okay. Now, if you want to, what we've done in the past, some of the members have gone to the different departments. And set
They're
up,
always willing.
and they're always willing to walk you through, and if there's a
Okay.
piece of
Yeah.
equipment that they need, they'll show you where it is and that kind
Why
of
they
things.
need it,
Yep,
you know.
that makes sense, and I got
And then
it.
this goes to the city manager, but
Okay.
goes to the planning department first, correct?
Yes, it
They-
goes.
It gets voted on by them.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the city manager. And he usually looks at the top 10.
Yes, and then just.
That's all the money thing.
Yeah, I agree. I got that part, all right.
But in
12
this
years I've been
year,
here, the roads have always been number one. And I hope they
And it's
continue.
always-
they talk about falling behind and how much it costs to catch up. And I think this is interesting here, this expenditure plan showing how, what the requests were and, how
Yeah.
it went into the city manager, how it went through council and what was approved.
And those are just selected pages from the budget. The budget is
Yep.
like hundreds of
Huge.
pages long, so.
Any commentary on the number 0? Marking for 0?
Yeah, you can, if you feel as though don't want to give it any ranking at all, give it a 0, but you have to, you just can't say non-applicable. Those,
Yeah,
it has to be
it
added
seems
in
to
there.
me that if you look at it in this year, it has nothing for improvements, nothing for public need, nothing for liability. It'd have to be a pretty heinous project to get a 0.
I would think so.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, I would think so. I think some people you had done in the past, but
Right.
applicable, and that didn't play right, because it couldn't add in.
Right.
So rather than put non-applicable, some put zeros in there. They didn't want to rank it because it felt as though, for whatever right they
All
felt.
right.
Now, how are we going, Penny?
Just also, for everybody to know, on that the capital page of the budget,
Yeah,
if you look under parks, there was 4 projects that was added in by the council that was on the CIP, but didn't rise to the top.
didn't rise up. Okay,
Most of
so
them were
there's-
like in the 40s.
right?
So we picked some of those to bring them up to the top and to do them. They're the fence along Opeachy, basketball courts, Cardiff and Sanborn, beach drainage. They're gonna put a walkway from across the Opeachy, Peachy Park from the school to the parking lot, so that they don't walk across the fields.
Right?
There'll be a walkway that they can walk. It'll be along the fence of Smithfield, from what I understand.
Okay.
So those are added in by the council.
So what will happen at the end, when all the ratings are submitted, and they're all put together, we'll get together, and we'll talk about, are we satisfied the way they came out, the priority, which sometimes I don't think we've done it too many times, but once in a while, we'll change something. That should be a little bit higher, that should be a little lower, and as a group, we agree on moving that up or moving that down.
Okay.
And then at that point, it's, pretty much goes forward, and then our work is done. Any questions? Again, for those that haven't done this, and I'm pretty sure in every department all the time, but those that haven't done this, make an appointment with the different department heads, and they're always welcoming, and they're always willing to show you the new fire engine, or the new hook and ladder, or
And I haven't done it yet, but
jaws of life, whatever.
Snowplow.
I got
The
the,
plows.
It's 1960s. They got 'em.
my daddy bought this one. Kids,
Grandfather and my daddy.
I have not taken it, though. We'll call ahead this year because I'm fascinated. I hear it's a wonderful tour, is going through the water department and the filtration plant and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
because they're always about filters and stuff like that. So I've heard people have gone and said it's a wonderful tour, so I might take advantage of that
Yeah, that
this
is a
year.
good department to go see. It's
Yeah.
quite remarkable, really,
Okay.
for Laconia to have that resource,
See, that's
and how well it's run.
Last time I did that was about 10 years ago, if I remember.
Right?
So now they don't need as many filters anymore for some reason. They do something else now.
No,
The
they're-
technology is
They're
moving
good
on.
size filters.
Yeah.
Sediment filters is what they are.
Huh?
They're sediment filters. Big
Yeah,
ones.
there's something that they don't need as many now because they did something else. I'm not sure what
There's 3 of them, I believe.
they.
They just replaced all the sand and stuff in it for the last few years. They did it themselves.
Yep, and that's what my
Saved
understanding
hundreds and
was.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's what my understanding was going in last year.
Okay, any more comments? Anything going, you want to, got understanding of?
So
So you-
we'll have updated spreadsheets and the scoring stuff for you guys very shortly. We're gonna send that out electronically, and we can give you hard copies. We can give them to most of you at your next meeting, or we'll call when they're ready, or we can leave them in a box for you. So you have hard copies as well for during the presentations.
Okay, so when will that happen? When will we have them off here?
Probably at the most within the next week. We just need to make some edits
Okay.
to this and check with the departments that everything's all set.
I guess I do have one more weirsy type question. You know, we see this stuff, and I see the weirs changing around me as I reside there. Knowing that we are starting to have conflicts with snowmobiles and wanting to keep businesses open in, and we have multiple condominium projects coming up, which is going to mean more people moving around to it, either down to the post office or up to the businesses. If you are in the new Winnipesaukee Gardens, that's coming up, 85 houses. Looking at the access to the bridge, and also looking at being in the last 2 charrettes and when they talk about community connectivity, some sort of auxiliary bridge, maybe to the north side of the Big Stone Weirs Bridge. When I go up to, and I ski at Sunday River, and I cross the highway through Bethel going in there, there's an auxiliary bridge that's good for pedestrians, for bikes, for snowmobiles. And if it's part of the master plan, if it's been talked about or reviewed in there, or just seeing it in the last 2 charrettes, I think it's something that ought to be taken for consideration. I doubt we'll see it here, but I will ask that question when we get
Okay, we'll give
to Public Works, and
Okay.
that's the end of that.
Okay,
Next one, the 10th.
It's actually the 11th, because you guys have council on the 10th, because Columbus Day is the 9th.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of shuffling going on there.
Okay.
The spreadsheets are new to everyone this year. The department heads were very gracious and patient in working with them and us. Rob has been a lifesaver with his Excel knowledge. If you guys have questions or anything as you're going through them, and as we send you the electronic versions and get you the updated copies, just give us a call or send us an email.
okay. When do we have that individual coming in to give the,
That's also on the 11th at 5 o'clock.
that's on the 11th?
Yeah.
Let's see, okay. Yeah. Get over there.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a sort of a little overlap, not quite an overlap, depends upon how fast we get done with one meeting, which would be the master plan meeting, which would be on the 11th. and that's scheduled at 5:30, and we're not sure if we're cutting it too close. This would be 6:30, that would be 5:30, but just want you to be aware that there might be a little slowdown on getting us going because of discussions that will be taking place in this room at that date.
Okay, if the board's gonna wanna change the time, we'll wanna know that soon, so we can change all the postings and let the department
Right,
heads
I'm
know.
not sure we want to change the time, but
No, I think so. I think we're going to change master plan to 5.
5, okay, all right, that's a good idea, all right.
And then.
All right, that's
we'll
even
have-
better.
We'll
Yeah.
just have a hard cutoff at
Right.
6:15 at the latest, or
Okay.
whatever, that's all.
All right.
right.
Well, then, I guess we have a motion to adjourn. Everybody,
Motion to adjourn?
a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Let's do it.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.